back.
Back. Wake up.
This is our review of X-Men 97, Episode 6.
Episode 6.
Life-Death Part 2.
There's a galactic battle going on between Shi'ar and the Kree.
Yep.
You know, we see the Kree for the first time in this iteration.
Some people said it's like the official merger into the MCU.
So that was cool. We see your man Ronan, you know, the more comic book accurate version of him.
Yep.
Who's fighting what's his name again?
Deathbird.
Deathbird, yeah. Who's the Lilandra?
Yep.
Lilandra's sister. And I laugh because of this, because there's one line when I believe it's Deathbird.
Yep.
Who's like who's talking to Charles, and she's like
Milky Way Ghetto.
Yeah, Milky Way Ghetto. And I'm
I
like,
written it down.
Lilandra, that sounds like a ghetto name.
Y'all call Professor X Ghetto?
Right.
The Earth? Milky Way Ghetto. Both Deathbird and Lilandra sound like
Deathbird
sound like some nickname from the
like she's Deathbird. She be killing it. That's on brand, I think, for us. It certainly feels like Earth is the hood.
Yo, it is. All these other planets are mad advanced. This intergalactic space travel, Earth is just here. Yeah, you know, we're worried about atomic bombing.
Racism.
Racism.
So they're fighting. We see the Imperial Guard.
Yep.
Right? Gladiator and all those. Vulcan.
He is the, people know comic book accurately. Vulcan's the third Summers brother. That's like Scott Summers, Cyclops, Alex Summers, Havoc, and who's Cyclops' younger brother. And then there's Vulcan. He's the older brother that they did not know about. And he goes off and becomes part of the Imperial Guard. And there's a whole story there.
Right. Leandra sends out a message to everybody on the ship, right?
Yeah, because they're busy defeating the Kree. Like, especially if you see Ronan in the movies, he's like the badass. He's like the main villain in Guardians of the Galaxy ones. Kind of powerful.
Yeah.
He gets his ass whooped by Deathbird. And as they're defeating the Kree, the Lilandra sends out a message announcing like the engagement to Professor X.
Right.
Also, is the moment we have confirmation that Professor X is alive.
Yeah, now Professor X is alive. He's been in love. You know, he's got Lilandra. She gave him the exoskeleton suit that allows him to walk. Cause you see him, he's not just alive, he's like walking upright. Yeah. He's looking all built. Yeah.
Golden suit.
Right.
There's a whole theme.
A lot of racism.
A supersized Shi'ar Empire, even though they was in the original series, but this whole 97 just goes in depth to everything, more so than anyone ever did. I was always disappointed in the live action movies, never showed any part of the intergalactic world of the X-Men, right? Because they have a lot. They have their own aliens, the Shi'ar Empire, they have their own stuff that directly links to the X-Men. They addressed this in the comic, but I just felt this episode went deep into like sort of like the racism of the Shi'ar Empire. Yeah. Like the very basis of it, right? Because there was a lot of stuff where they were referring to like every other alien race they kind of just referred to as like inferior. Yeah. It was like genetically like, what's going on?
Ronan calls Deathbird a pigeon.
Pigeon. Right? Big thing that happens, I would say the conflict of the episode is Lilandra announcing that Professor X and her are getting married. Yeah. And Deathbird challenges that. Even the council's they're kind of like concerned, all because same thing, like he's a terrorist, that's like, they're kind of inferior, what are you talking about? Deathbird stepped to about it. Right. Because Deathbird actually always tries to take the throne. Right. In the comic or whatever. And so Deathbird gets a big challenge to issue something traditional challenge. And but the whole thing about the challenge that even allowed it was like because he was human. Later on when they almost have a mini civil war over their marriage. Professor X takes them all on the astral plane, and he does a lesson. You know, he goes into like the history of it. He starts breaking down, like showing them like, yo, what's up? what's up with the Shi'ar Empire?
Right. He gets to start showing and proving, you know what I'm saying? He's dropping them that supreme mathematics and knowledge itself. You know what I'm saying? It plays well because during the whole episode, you see it in the background. Like when Charles and Leandra is walking through this garden or whatever, and you see like those horse race people. Right? And then, well, I'm like, is that like, and I don't know, the Marvel alien stuff. I'm like, are they connected to Beta Ray Bill or something? Because they kind of look like.
I gotta look back at that. They could be.
Could be.
It could be.
I don't know. It might be. I don't know.
I gotta take a look at them. But I was like, yeah, what was Charles' plan? Like, I know like he's in love, right? That's like a whole focus. He's in love. He's doing stuff for love. He's so like they saved his life. He's in love with Leandra. Him and Leandra keep mentioning like they had plans. Yeah. They kind of like had plans. So I think he's kind of like, oh, maybe we could reform this or something. You know, I think those are kind of further plans.
They broke it down to the visual aspect. I think was really awesome because they show you like a little drawing and stuff, and they like quite literally like show you like these figures that are rising, and then they get cut at the knees, and then they get kind of trampled over, and maybe that's what, you know, Leandra and Charles, maybe that was their plan to kind of, you know, unify more and stuff like that. Because clearly, because there has to be that, I would think that would be the connection. Right. In that, like, in Charles's position with, you know, with like with mutants and stuff like that, right? We catch back up with Ford and Storm. Yep. As well in this episode.
The adversary has bitten Forge. Yeah. And wherever his bite was kind of spreading.
Yeah.
So
he got a bit bad. You know what I'm saying? Purple and stuff, and pussing and all that.
Which is very nasty.
Yeah. Oh, Ford banishes the adversary.
Yeah, he gets up. He's kind of sick, but he kind of gets up in time just to like, because Storm's like caught up in it, right? Yeah. The adversary's really trying to feed off of Storm's fear, telling her to leave him alone, just let him die, you know, like, because the adversary wants to keep Storm trapped. Yeah. To keep off. Like, it is like the story of like self-doubt and fear. And, it's like sorrow. Yeah, that part of the episode was like a whole mix of like the adversary battling Storm's trying to take care. Storm's trying to battle her own demons and take care of Forge. Forge banishes the demon. Forge, and then you see Forge's magic for the first time.
Which we noticed right away. I think all of us, most of us that saw it like right away noticed, you know, the symbols and that, you know, just that imagery was very similar to Doctor Strange and how magic has been working in the MCU. And then you find out, that his mom, that it was his mother's book of magic. Yes. So then it's assumed that, you know, he conjured up or summoned the adversary at some point or something. And then he tells Storm about this cactus or something that can heal him. Yep. Yeah, so then that becomes her journey, is trying to find the cactus to save the man.
As he has him on horseback, she's carrying him on her back, on his back to find the cactus. And he's like, Forge is pretty much dead weight.
And that's the fun thing about this show, is they're just playing, and it's like, and Storm is such a revered character, and like everyone knows her, but like to really see her, you know, like in her power, while she doesn't have her powers right now.
The adversary tries to stop them, they kind of battle off the adversary or something, and Forge says, Storm's like, where is the cactus? And Forge's like, well, that's why I came with you, because I know you have a problem with tight spaces. And he points to like this little cavern hole you get through. So people don't know, Storm's claustrophobic because of when she was a child. What happened? There was like an earthquake or something, and she got trapped in like a cave or something like that for like days. Like that. So that's one of her. That's kind of like her kryptonite. Little quick Storm origin story. Storm's father, is African American. Her mother is Kenyan.
Oh.
Her father was a photographer for Malcolm X. This is canon in the combo.
Wow.
And they went to Africa to film stuff and also I think to move back there.
Yeah.
That's something. The mother's homeland and stuff. And the parents died in a helicopter crash or something like that. And so then Storm becomes an orphan, and she becomes a thief in Cairo, Egypt.
Oh wow!
So she grows up as a street child,
mm-hmm.
and she's a thief for this guy, the Shadow King, and he has these orphans running around. Shadow King is this evil mutant who's just exploiting the children, and also becomes this psychic being that I think also feeds off fear and things like that.
He's like the evil Professor X.
Yeah. And Professor X and Magneto were both doing excavations in Israel at the time.
Pause.
Right.
Israel, Palestine. They do excavations in Palestine.
Right.
You mixed that in this thing. Professor X and Magneto. And they have to go through Egypt, and Storm pickpockets Professor X. And he's like, oh, then when he sees her mind, he can see, he sees that she's a mutant. She doesn't know yet, but he's like, oh, it's a mutant kid. And then he finds out the Shadow King is, controlling them. So Professor X battles the Shadow King, defeats him. And then he kind of lets Storm, he kind of frees Storm off, but he kept her in mind. Because this was still, they were still, in terms of the number of mutants in the world, they would still could count on their hands or something So Professor X is oh, this is a new mutant kid. Okay, I'll keep track of them.
Right.
Because Professor X hasn't created the X-Men yet during this time.
That's a movie right there.
Yeah, yes.
Why?
There's so much they can do with Storm. They're not doing. Storm goes off, and some tribe nation she finds, and they worship her as a goddess because she realizes her powers. So she kind of grows up the rest of her life just being with this tribe, being a goddess. She's kind of making rain come when she needs to. She's kind of helping out and stuff like this. So when Professor X creates the new iteration of X-Men to rescue the old X-Men, it's because he has files on these mutants that he's okay, these are backup mutants, in case my team something happens.
Right.
And so he goes up, he finds Storm, hey, I really need you. Come to die. He finds Wolverine, he finds Sunfire, he finds Nightcrawler, Colossus, all these people. His sense of going to rescue the original team and all that stuff. So
that makes sense. All right, we gotta do a deep dive on that. That could be a whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Marvel.
Right, that's right.
You know what I'm saying?
But she says, Forge is too weak going through the tunnel, so she starts going through. And she's claustrophobic, she's getting over it, and the whole time, and see that's the adversary appears when she's vulnerable, when she's having doubt, when she's having fear. So she's battling her claustrophobia, and the adversary appears again. And the adversary's the adversary says something ooh, self-loathing with being covered by hate. Oh, this tastes good. And the adversary is making Storm believe that the cave is closing in on her and squeezing her to death. And so she finally is no, I believe the lie. What is the lie? Silly.
My take on this whole thing was that, it was more like a mental block. Not being able to use her powers and stuff. Put her in the chamber or whatever.
Right.
I think it worked, but I think she was blocked mentally, and then the adversary was feeding off that. So I think the lie was her not having her powers anymore.
There was something about her wishing. There was something about the self-hate. That she had those thoughts of oh well, I kind of wish I was normal or something like that. It some deal with that self-hate. It's something about you're not being your true self, you're denying your true self. You kind of wishing you wasn't muted. You're holding back. I feel part of that too was the lie.
And I'm excited to see more of Storm and Forge's relationship, because that's something, again, you know, coming into it pretty blindly. That's dope. And then, like, if they keep the series going, which I hope they do, like, you know, where's Black Panther and all this? Because I know at some point they get together. So I'm like, keep this going on.